We are now going to write linear inequalities from a graph. So we are already learned how to graph linear inequalities. Now this way we are going to be given the graph and asked to write the inequality that matches it. So let's talk about the steps first. Zoom in so I can write my steps. All right, so steps. If you double click, you can find a text box there, I believe. That's what I was able to do. So step one, I'm going to say, look at the line and write whether it is dashed or solid. And this will help you be able to narrow down answer choices pretty quick. So we know with dash, it's just going to be a less than, greater than symbol. Solid is going to be less than, equal to, greater than, equal to. All right, step two. We are going to use 2 points on the line to find the slope. And y-intercept. Write those out. Thank you. M equals, and then also write B equals. Step three, write the equation without the inequality symbol. So you'll write it as y and then put a little space, mx plus b. Because it won't be an equation unless there is no shading, but we are dealing with shading. So we're dealing with inequality. So I just go ahead and write y and then mx plus b. Then I'm going to fill in the inequality symbol depending on shading above or below. So I'm going to determine how the shading is done. So either above or below. Fill in the correct inequality symbol. Okay, don't forget to graph the inequality in the calculator to check your work. And I'm going to show you how to graph it using an inequality symbol. All right, let's look at our first example. We are going to write little things out. So, I double clicked over there. Don't want to do that yet. So we are going onto the right side of slide 9. So step 1, determine if it is dashed or solid. So what is it? Dashed. Okay. And which way is it shaded, above or below? Okay, I guess we can go ahead and write that. That would be helpful. Then we need to find the slope. So we need 2 points. So I'm going to use the scribble tool to find 2 points to plot. So it looks like there's one right here. So I just clicked on the scribble tool. I'm scribbling a little dot right there. And I'm going to change the color so I can see it a little better. And you need a second point so we can find the slope. So looks like on the x-axis, we can go to 3. Change that color too. Once you have those 2 points, you can find your slope. So this is going from the left point up 2 over 3, and it's a positive slope. So 2 over 3, and if you put space, it kind of makes it look like a fraction. So I am going to make that bigger. There you go. Okay, and then B is your y-intercept. So it crosses the y-axis at -2. So we'll put -2. Make that bigger. Okay, so if it's shaded, if it's dashed and shaded below, so dashed means we are in the less than or greater than. And then below means less than. So we need to do the less than symbol, right? Because that is shading below. So circle that. Is the graph shaded above or below? We've already done that, but let's go ahead and look at that. Remember, if we draw an imaginary line at the opening, would it resemble a D or a P? So this would resemble a D. Which, what does D mean if it resembles a D?
Down.
Down? Maybe. Okay, and then remember, if you do not put a solid line, it should not be an inequality. And if you see a solid line, there should be a solid line in your inequality. So let's write the inequality. Make this bigger. Y is less than mx plus b. I guess I could put y and then mx plus b 2/3 x minus 2. Is that what it is? Okay. And then you put the inequality symbol there. We know it's less than. You don't necessarily have to follow the steps that I put. Just make sure you do each of those things. There might be an easier way for you to do it, one that you feel more comfortable with than kind of going all over the place. Okay, so let's do this in our calculator. Okay, so we have the equation, put it into y equals. And since this is less than, we know it's going to be shaded below. So we are going to have to do something out to the front of that equation when we put it into y equals. So if you look at that, see how out front, if I go to the right, to the left of the equation where we have y1, if you push enter, you can change the color just by pushing left, right to get different colors, and it cycles through. Okay, so blue. And then down here, it's going to cycle through different options too. Because it's less than, we know it's going to be below. So the one that looks most like a line that has the shading of below would be a lower triangle on the left. So once you do that, then you can hit OK, hit graph, which I have mine zoomed in. I'll zoom out in just a second. So I'm going to go zoom standard so I can have it back to the way it's supposed to look if it's just in the standard graphing. So it shows the shading. So now we can compare that to our graph that we were originally given. So that's one way to check it. And it's also a way to check if you're graphing to make sure you graphed it correctly too. All right, let's look at, we're going to go to slide 11. So let's look. I want you to go through and answer the questions and write the inequality. So I'm going to pause it and let you do this on your own. All right, let's check and see how you did. So on this one, it's dashed and below. Rise over run is 5/2. Oh, I have not changed the screen up top. Sorry. And the y-intercept is -5. Dashed and below. So if it's dashed and below, it'd be less than symbol because it is shaded below. So the inequality is y is less than 5/2x minus 5. How'd y'all do? Okay, so now check it in your calculator. So I put in the inequality. Since it's less than, it's below, I'm using this lower left-hand little right triangle. Put in my equation and hit graph. And we would just need to check and make sure that that is the same line. We know it's supposed to be dashed, but it looks like the same line shading below. Okay, let's move on to the next example. Solid and above. So if you use this point and this point, you would go up 3/4. I do see a little problem with that. I think I need to change out this graph for next time, for next year. Because if I go up 3/4 again, it doesn't quite make it to this point, which it should if the slope is 3/4. So I think the slope is off a little bit, but we don't have clear points to use. So we are going to go with 3/4 at this point. It will be as close as we can get it. Our y-intercept is +1. So it is solid and above, so we would do greater than or equal to. Which when you write your equation, y is greater than or equal to 3/4 x plus 1. So you'll check that in the calculator. So I'm going to pull my calculator up. So it's 3/4 x plus 1. And then we need to change the shading. So the shading is going to be above. So we are going to cycle through all of these options until we get to the right triangle that's in the upper right-hand corner. Push OK. And you can shade different colors if you want. Then you can look and see if this is the same graph. So looks like the same graph to me. Okay, your assignment is going to be writing equations given graphs, and I'll have that posted on Google Classroom.